within. Good morning, Kuhner Country. 617-266-6868 if you want to be part of the show. Okay, my friends, a lot to talk about today. There was a lot of news over the weekend. And let me just say this right out of the gate. The media in Boston should be ashamed of itself. I know I say this about every month or two, but just when you thought they couldn't go any lower, really, and I'm calling them all out. The Boston Globe, the Boston Herald, Channel 4, Channel 5, 7, 10, 25, WGBH, I don't care, run right down the line. Beyond pathetic, beyond disgusting, beyond shameful. Why am I saying this? Because there is now a huge national story with Boston as its epicenter. This is not, yes, it's obviously a local story, but this is now a national story being covered by the national media. Yet there's hardly any to no local media coverage whatsoever. And the reason is obvious. Because they're in the tank for Michelle Wu, or they're in the tank like that rag, the Boston Herald, for the rhinos. And the rhinos do not want a head-on confrontation with either Governor Healy or with Michelle Wu. So they're there as controlled opposition. They're there to pretend to oppose, but they don't really want to oppose. And so you have this unspoken collusion between the Herald, the Globe, the local media, on issue after issue after issue. It is a conspiracy of silence. And if you think, come on, Jeff, come on, Kuhner man, you got to be exaggerating here for dramatic effect. Just punch in the name of this individual, and you will see how many national media outlets, and on social media in particular, how many people are covering this story, how big of a national story this is. His name, I'm going to anglicize it because this person is originally from Ecuador. It's Gilberto Avila Jara. Gilbert with an O. Avila, A-V-I-L-A hyphen J-A-R-A. Now, you're going to say, Jeff, who is this guy? He is a 64-year-old illegal alien from Ecuador. According to ICE Boston, they released a statement saying that they arrested him in the sanctuary city of Lawrence, which we have a big national audience, so just so that you know, would you say Lawrence is, it's considered part of the greater Boston area, right, Sandy? Mike, would you guys agree with that, or is that a bit of a stretch? Might be a bit of a stretch. Okay. Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch. I agree. Anyway, it's just a little bit north of Boston. It's a sanctuary city, like many towns and cities are in Massachusetts, but it's clearly within, striking distance of Boston, especially if you drive. But anyway, so they arrested him about 2 weeks ago in Lawrence, Massachusetts, big sanctuary city. A lot of illegals live in Lawrence. Avila Jara faces over, listen to this, he is a child rapist. Sorry to do this to you so early in the morning. I know you're having breakfast or you're taking a shower as you're listening to this, but this is the kind of people, the kind of swine, the kind of vermin that the Democrats have allowed into cities all across the country. But I'm using Boston now because it's ground zero. Into Boston, into Lawrence, into towns and cities all across the Commonwealth, the People's Republic of Massachusetts. So he is now facing over, listen to this, 20 heinous charges of sex crimes. He is a pedophile. Charges against indecent assault and battery on a child under 14. The forcible rape of a child. the aggravated statutory rape of a child. This man, this animal, has been preying on America's innocent children for God knows how many years. And to show you how evil and diabolical open borders is, and sanctuary cities, how evil and diabolical open borders and sanctuary cities are. He first came into this country illegally. Listen to this. Through California in 1996. He was deported. An immigration judge said, you're in this country illegally, and they kicked his rear end out. But when Biden opened up the borders, and when Maura Healey said to the illegals, come on down, baby, Massachusetts is a sanctuary state. And when Mayor Michelle Wu, Marxist Michelle, said Boston is open to every illegal. No one's illegal in Boston or no one's illegal in Massachusetts, according to Healey. Well, where do you think Avila Jara, this scumbag, went? He came here. In Lawrence Court, listen to this, in Lawrence Court, he was released on April 22nd, 2021. The Essex County Superior Court arraigned Avila for 6 counts of indecent assault and battery on a child, 8 counts of rape of a child with force, and 8 counts of aggravated statutory rape of a child. ICE had a detainer on him. ICE said, we want him. He's wanted for sex crimes all over the country, all over the state. He's an illegal. We want him. We're going to deport him. He shouldn't be in the United States. He's preying and destroying innocent children. They refused to honor the detainer. Let me repeat that. A pedophile, a child sex predator, wanted on multiple charges, molesting and raping multiple young children. And not only did they not honor the detainer, they let him out on bail. They let him out. And according to ICE, by letting him out, he has gone on now to molest and rape numerous other young kids. In Boston, in the greater Boston area. Because of this state's and Michelle Wu in particular, Boston's policies of sanctuary, its policy of sanctuary cities, they have now empowered and enabled a child rapist to run wild. That could have been your child. That may have been your child. That could have been my children. We go to Boston. We often go to Boston. We often go in the greater Boston area. And the question is, how many more Gilberto Avila Jaras are there? How many more? I want to read to you what ICE Enforcement and Removal Operations Boston Acting Field Director Patricia Hyde wrote. This is the statement. They finally nabbed him, and they finally have him now in their custody after years and years of searching for him. Quote, there are no appropriate words to describe the amount of damage Gilberto Avila Jara has allegedly done to our Massachusetts community. Children are the most precious and vulnerable members of our communities, and we will do everything in our power to protect them from illegal sex offenders. ICE Boston remains committed to prioritizing public safety by arresting and removing alien sexual predators from New England. Kristi Noem, Secretary, Department of Homeland Security, torched Michelle Wu on X. Torched her, saying ICE Boston has just arrested an illegal Ecuadorian national charged with more than 20 sex crimes against a minor. Does Boston's Mayor Michelle Wu think these pedophiles are above the law? Imagine what our ICE officers could do without sanctuary city policies that protect illegal alien criminals, including child predators, murderers, and rapists. My friends, the sad truth of the matter is, Michelle Wu and Maura Healey do believe that child sex predators are above the law. It's sick and it's evil. 619 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I want to ask all of you a couple of simple questions. And anyway, the phone lines are open. 617-266-6868 is the number. You now have the Secretary of Homeland Security directly calling out the mayor of Boston, Marxist Michelle Wu, calling out the entire Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the People's Republic of Massachusetts, saying that there's no question that Michelle Wu, as Secretary Kristi Noem put it, thinks that pedophiles are above the law. And that sanctuary city policies are not just protecting illegal aliens, but they're literally now protecting some of the most evil, sick, twisted, vile criminals on the face of the earth. Rapists, child molesters, and sex predators. And what's amazing is that Michelle Wu doesn't do a thing. Maura Healey doesn't do a thing. And what's even to me almost as scandalous is, again, this is a massive national story. Trust me, you're going to see this now. Fox is going to be all over this. You're going to see this all Newsmax. They're going to be all over this today. Nothing from the local media. Nothing. It's like it went down a black hole. Because it is deeply humiliating to Michelle Wu, and it is deeply humiliating to Maura Healey. And frankly, it is very deeply humiliating to the Democratic regime. You have a pedophile who was deported, was allowed back in, and has been living among us for years. And over 4 years ago, after being charged with some of the most heinous crimes against young children imaginable, there's a detainer on him, an ICE detainer. We want him. He's an illegal. He's a dangerous sexual predator. He's a child molester, for God's sake. We want him. They don't honor the detainer. And then they let him walk. They let him out on bail. And as ICE came out and said, he's been raping children for the last 4 years. Now, this is beyond, and by the way, when are they going to cut Boston's funding? Michelle Wu continues to defy federal immigration law. When are they going to finally cut federal funding to sanctuary cities? To me, enough is enough. I mean, I appreciate what Kristi Noem said. I appreciate her, the fact that she torched Michelle Wu and, gave it to her with both barrels on X. I appreciate that. But tough words are not enough. When you're letting loose child rapists and child molesters to prey on innocent kids in the community, You are aiding and abetting in that crime. Am I wrong? To me, this is unconscionable. And by the way, they're doing it in cities all across the country. It's just that Boston now, again, sort of like San Francisco or Chicago or New York or, LA or whatever. It's one of these 4 or 5, 6 cities where it's always ground zero. But the fact of the matter is, when is the mayor going to be held responsible? When is the governor going to be held responsible? When is the corrupt media in this state going to do its freaking job? The victims come first, not the rapists. The children come first, not the illegal alien sexual predators. And Kristi Noem is completely right. Criminals are above the law. If you happen to be an illegal alien especially, you are above the law. Pedophiles are above the law. Gangbangers are above the law. And notice, as Trump and Holman and Kristi Noem do everything in their power to try to deport these illegal alien criminals from our country, in city after city, state after state, who are the Democrats siding with? Who are the left-wing rogue activist judges siding with? Are they siding with the American people? Are they siding with the victims? No. They're siding with Trender Aragua. They're siding with MS-13. In this case now, they're siding with this guy, this scumbag, Gilberto Avila Jara. They weep for him. They protect and coddle him. Michelle Wu is a sick, evil, twisted sociopath. She's evil. Open borders is evil. Sanctuary cities is evil. There's nothing compassionate. There's nothing inclusive. There's nothing humanitarian about it. When you start protecting and shielding rapists and child sex abusers, child predators who are going around raping children, young innocent children, you are one sick puppy. It's no longer enough to talk the talk. It's time to walk the walk. Cut off all federal funding to Boston, to Massachusetts, and you tell Michelle Wu to get a lawyer. She's aiding and abetting some of the most heinous, dangerous criminals on the face of God's earth. She needs to be put in handcuffs. My friends, that could have been my child that was raped. That could have been your child that was raped. And the question I have is, how many more sex predators are they allowing to roam on our streets? Your calls next. 6:33 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868. If you want to be part of the show, couple lines are open. Okay, this is from Dave, our Western PA constitutionalist correspondent, saying, Jeff, where's Pam Bondi, the Attorney General? Why isn't she going after Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey and Boston Mayor Michelle Wu? Look, I agree. It's getting worse and worse now. The behavior is becoming more outrageous by Healey, by Wu. It's almost as if the more pro-criminal they become, somehow the more they think they're leading, la resistance, the resistance against Trump. So, I mean, we shall see, but the more of these arrests by ICE and the more we find out how they've been coddling, shielding, protecting some of the worst criminals you could possibly think of, I think the worse it becomes for both Wu and Healey. But then again, if they don't go to jail, hell, if you don't even get any cuts in federal funding, if you don't pay any kind of a price, That's the reason why they continue doing what they're doing. There have to be consequences to their actions. Agree, disagree. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, this is an email from Timothy. And this is what Timothy wrote to me. And by the way, if you want to email the Kuhner Man, you can do so. Jeffrey Kuhner at iHeartMedia.com. Jeffrey Kuhner, Kuhner, Jeffrey with a J, at iHeartMedia.com. Jeff, meanwhile, Michelle Wu showed up at the home opener of the Boston Red Sox, where she was booed by the crowd when she came up on the big screen at Fenway Park. Here's the irony. She was holding her new baby. While she places child-raping illegal aliens above the law, she sits there holding a baby. She's a hypocrite who needs to resign now. You are 1,000% correct, Timothy. You know, she uses her children as props. She used it when she testified in front of Congress on her sanctuary city policy and her soft on crime policy. And there she is, you know, with the ashes on her forehead. It was Lent. And there she is holding the baby, holding the baby. Meanwhile, literally, she's allowing child rapists to run wild. And she's telling a local police not to honor ICE detainers on one of the worst monsters you can think of. And the question now is, and this is going to be a huge scandal. I mean, if we had a real Republican Party and a real mass GOP that cared and a real media, this would bury Michelle Wu and it would bury Maura Healey. How many young children has Gilberto Avila Jara raped? How many has this Ecuadorian raped? And how many did he rape after they let him out, even though there was an ICE detainer on him in 2021? How many? That's the question now. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let's go to Betty in Quincy. Thanks for holding, Betty, and welcome.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you, Betty?
Well, I got to tell you, I'm over here at work this morning, and I am totally disturbed and disgusted. I'm over here, and I'm listening to you, and I just can't get this out of my mind. I mean, I know it's early. This topic is totally horrific. I mean, I just can't even concentrate on work. If everybody just closed their eyes for a second, right? And this is what I'm doing. Imagining, I don't have kids, but nieces, nephews. Imagine your kids outside playing on the swings or running around in the yard, like so much joy and laughter and happiness, you know, just little innocent angels. And then, God forbid, you hear this gut-wrenching scream of horror, and this animal has got your kid or niece or whatever raping them or forcing. I mean, you just said something, Jeff. Forcing. Does any adult know what it's like to be forced? And we're talking about kids. I'm totally shaken and I'm totally disgusted that Wu, she needs to play by the rules. Boston should not get one red cent. You hear the joy and laughter of some little kids. This is not acceptable. She ought to play by the rules and the law, and she needs to be in jail. I can't even concentrate on work right now thinking of this scumbag doing this, and for that jackass of a mayor to let this happen. This is disgusting. Ruined my whole day. I pray to God.
Well, don't let it ruin your day. No, Betty, look, please, don't let it ruin your day. Don't give her that kind of power over you. You know, we're going to hold a big rally. I just want everybody to know this. I don't want to give away anything just yet. We're finalizing the details. But we are going to hold a monster rally, a mother rally, in about maybe about a month. Okay, in about a month. About 4 weeks from now. I don't want to give away anything more than that. She's going to hear from us. And so is Healy. And so are these scumbag Democrats that are running this state into the ground. But don't let them ruin your day like this. You need to take this information and use it to empower you. Don't trust the city or the state to have your back. Protect yourself, protect your family. They don't have our back. That's ultimately the point of all this, is to open people's eyes. They don't have our back. I don't know what the people in Lawrence are thinking. I know Lawrence is corrupt. Okay? I know that. They've got a really corrupt local mayor and a really corrupt local administration. I get it. But man, we're talking about a child rapist. I'm not talking about, stealing money from the taxpayer, which is horrible. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking about now raping kids. And you've got an ICE detainer and you don't do anything? And this guy's got a rap sheet on children, on molesting children as long as my arm? He's clearly a pedophile, a sick pedophile. And the authorities in Lawrence are protecting him? The cops in Lawrence are being ordered to protect him? The cops in Boston are being ordered to protect him? The mayor is protecting him over us and our kids? They don't have our back. So it's very important that you understand that. Don't think, it's sort of like COVID. You can't trust the medical establishment. You can't trust in this case, you can't trust the political establishment. They're not going to do what's in the best interest of the citizens. And when you allow someone like this to go on for 4 more years, after he's been charged 20 times, and after you know his record, and how many children he's raped and molested, and you let him out, and then you lose track of him because he's illegal, and you won't cooperate with ICE, and ICE is now, 4 years later, saying, we don't know how many children this guy's molested or raped. He's been running wild everywhere. He's been in Boston, he's been in Lawrence, God knows what other communities he's been in. And honestly, Betty, this is why this show, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to plug myself, but I have to say this. This is why this show is so important, honestly. Because I should be commenting on the Herald's front page spread on this, on the Boston Globe's front page spread on this, on how everyone in the city is talking about this, and I should be throwing in my 2 cents worth. Instead, it's a complete conspiracy of silence. What is the media afraid of? 649 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, basically, I'm reporting what the entire local media is trying to hush-hush. Okay, so that's just so that you know. That's what we're doing here on the Kuhner Report, as usual. Okay, but let that go. Let me put a couple logs on the fire. Quick questions, and then I want to go to the phone lines. By the way, a couple lines are open if you want to jump on. 617-266-6868. Number one, and let me ask you the most obvious question. Why is the local media, really, what is the media afraid of? Why is the local media refusing to cover this story? The national media is all over it. It's a huge national story. But here, if I didn't talk about it, I don't think anybody's going to talk about it. So why? Just objectively, you've got a 64-year-old serial child sex predator, a child rapist, a pedophile, who has been deported, decided to come to Massachusetts under Biden, came to Lawrence, came to Boston, was charged with over 20 crimes against a child, has other charges against other children. ICE puts out a detainer for this illegal animal from Ecuador in 2021 saying we want him. He's here illegally. He's preying on kids. Watch this guy. He's a child molester, for God's sake. And not only do they ignore the detainer because they're sanctuary cities, but they let him out on bail. And for 4 years, he's been running wild. 4 years. Protected by Michelle Wu and other sanctuary city mayors across the greater Boston area. Now, how is this not a massive news story? Why? I'm serious. Why is the media not covering this? Is it because they're so in the tank for the Democrats? It's what? Spare Michelle Wu and Maura Healey all the embarrassment you possibly can? Cover up for them? Lie for them? Even though there's a national media frenzy over this story. So the country outside of Massachusetts is covering this. The 49 other states are covering this, except here where it all took place. Seriously, think about that for a second. Okay, number one. Number two, do you think we'll ever see any arrests? Well, before we even do that, do you think Michelle Wu, all kidding aside, you know my position, I think she should be arrested for aiding and abetting criminal behavior. I think this is beyond shameful and disgusting and reckless and immoral. But do the sanctuary city mayors and governors, like Michelle Wu and Maura Healey, when they enable child rapists and child molesters to come to our state and then refuse to honor ICE detainers, allowing them to go back onto the streets to prey and molest kids again, to me, I'm sorry, they have to be arrested. At a bare minimum, they should be forced to resign. So, do they bear responsibility? I'm just curious, yes or no? And then, do you think we'll ever see any arrests? Do you think we'll ever see any cuts in federal funding? To Boston, to Massachusetts? In other words, do you think that there will finally be consequences and penalties, serious penalties and consequences for sanctuary city governors and sanctuary city mayors? 617-266-6868 is the number. And maybe the ultimate question. How does this mayor, who has children, she has children, I assume she loves her children, how can she allow a child rapist and child sex predator to run wild in her city and to coddle and protect them? As Kristi Noem put it directly on X, in your city, child sex predators and pedophiles are above the law. They're above the law. You prioritize them over Americans, over citizens, over your own constituents. What is wrong with Michelle Wu? 617-266-6868. Dave in Braintree. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome. Dave?
Jeff, I'm right here.
All right, go ahead. The floor is yours. Go ahead, Dave. You're on the air.
Jeff, I look at it this way. We need to get rid of this governor drag queen and get rid of this mayor who doesn't give a damn about anything that's going on in the state. They don't, neither one of them, Jeff. They're no good. How do we get stuck with these morons that's supposed to be, you know, helping the people and helping the city, get the city back to one piece? Jeff, they need to go. They need to go yesterday and a year ago yesterday.
You know, I agree with you. Dave, I completely agree with you. And let me ask you this, because obviously, look, you're on the ground. You know Boston. You know greater Boston. You're always driving everywhere. You talk to people. This is my theory. I could be wrong. I'm just giving you my theory. Tell me if you agree or disagree. I think a major reason, not the only, but a major reason why you've got the media in the tank for Michelle Wu and why they will not cover this story, because they're afraid that Josh Kraft, the son of Bob Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots, who's thrown his hat in the ring in the Democratic primary against Michelle Wu, they know that if this story comes out and it really pops, it really resonates, this is going to give Josh Kraft, a white male who happens to be Jewish. So for the Democratic Party, that's 3 strikes. He's white, he's a white man, and he's also a Jewish white man. Because you know how they're very pro-Hamas and pro-Palestinian, and increasingly very anti-Semitic in the Democratic Party. So they know that if this story gets major media play here, that Wu's poll numbers, already now not the best, are going to crater. And that this is going to give Josh Kraft a huge opening. I'm not a big fan of Josh Kraft. He's a liberal, progressive Democrat. I don't care for his politics. But to be honest with you, I don't think he's as insane as this woman. This woman is really, she really is Marxist Michelle. She's wacko Wu. That's what she is. She's wacko Wu. She's crazy. So I'm not a big fan of Josh Kraft. I don't care for his politics. I don't care for most of what he stands for. But I think the guy looks semi-sane to me. And I'll take semi-sane over insane any day. And so it seems to me that the media now is desperately trying to protect Michelle Wu the way they were protecting Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They're their Praetorian Guard. Cover up for her, cover up for her, cover up for her, because they don't want a white Jewish male being the mayor of Boston. Dave, am I wrong?
Nah, Jeff, you're not wrong. You know what it is, too? They don't want anybody honest in the State House. Because, Jeff, you and I both know Jeff Deal got slammed, and it should have been Jeff Deal in the State House, not this drag queen who thinks she's all that in a bag of chips. And as far as Mayor Who, wow, she could go fly someplace. Like you said, she's in the Congress there, whatever the meeting was with the ashes on. She's holding a kid up at Fenway Park, putting her on the screen. Who the hell needs her to be even in the state? She's a commie, Jeff.
Dave, thank you very much for that call, as always. No, that's another thing. Who uses their child like that as a prop? I mean, it's a baby. It's an infant. This woman is sick. I mean, I'm just telling you, she's sick. 617-266-6868 is the number. By the way, seriously, what other criminal would be protected like this? Like, there's almost like an unspoken rule or understanding in society. Really, even among criminals. Here, we have a lot of people who are, convicts or ex-convicts or whatever who serve time, which is fine. You paid your, you did your sentence, you paid your price. And to me, I believe in rehabilitation. I believe in forgiveness. Just don't commit another crime again, right? Many of them listen to this show. Here, tell me if I'm wrong. Even in prison, they hate these sex offenders. They hate these child molesters. They hate these guys. It's almost like you're giving criminals, really, you give us a bad name. You put one of these in the general population, they destroy these guys in prison. So there's almost like an unspoken rule in society. The one group of criminals you really don't protect. You really don't shield or unleash into the population are child rapists and child molesters. Why? Because you're preying on the most innocent, vulnerable members of the community, for God's sake. You're talking about 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old kids. with their innocent faces and their laughter, and they're at the park and they're just enjoying life, and they're very naive and very gullible, and they could be easily taken in by a stranger, offer them some candy or some chocolate or whatever, and before you know it, they're in a car and they're off with this guy. And God knows what he does to these children. And I'm sorry, I've got to say this. Where's the police? I'm sorry. I mean, I know the police take orders. I get it. But Lawrence police are the ones that initially let him out. It was in Lawrence initially, under the orders of the mayor, the sanctuary city mayor. And they said, no, we're not honoring the ICE detainer. Let him out. Put him out on bail. And then he went into Boston. And she wouldn't touch an ICE detainer. Leave him alone. So where is the local police? Come on, man. You got a child rapist, for God's sake. And I don't even want to describe to you what he's charged with doing to children. You don't want to know what this guy was charged with doing to children. Okay? And this sick piece of I almost said it. This sick piece of you know what? This POS. And you protect and coddle him? You're sick in the head. I'm telling you, you're sick. You're evil. This is diabolical. It's demonic. It's demonic. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Jim in Wilmington. Thanks for holding, Jim, and welcome.
How are you, Jeff?
Good. How are you, Jim?
I'm doing
in a
all
combative mood this morning, Jim.
Exactly.
I don't like it when politicians protect and prioritize child rapists and child molesters. But that's me, Jim. That's my upbringing. What can I tell you?
Same feelings here. So, Jeff, I've been talking to my brother. He's in Las Vegas, Nevada. And we're talking, I hope they're going after these politicians with the RICO Act. Because there's no doubt they're conspiring with one another, states, cities, mayors, and governors. And they're definitely doing it to subvert the law. You know, and these victims, they need to be able to allowed to sue the municipalities, the governors, the mayors of these cities, towns, and states. And the other thing I wanted to say, my brother has news, local news from here in Vegas, a week to 2 weeks before I hear about it.
So, Jim, sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but either you laugh or you cry. So so he's in Las Vegas, and he hears about news in Boston or Massachusetts 1 to 2 weeks before you hear about it here. Is that accurate, Jim?
That's exactly what's going on. And it's embarrassing to be a resident of this state. And, you know, in the old days, when we were releasing a convicted pedophile that was an illegal alien, they were all happy. They think they're going out the door. Well, on the other side of the door, when we give them their little monies that they have and their clothing and everything else, we open up that door, and ICE was out there. So they'd be taken into custody immediately. And that's how it worked in the old days.
Oh, amen. I hear you. Jim, thank you very much for that call. No, another thing, and this was a professor that explained this to me. This was in the 80s when I was going to college. And, you know, I remember we were having some kind of a discussion and debate on crime and punishment and pedophiles, and can pedophiles be rehabilitated? And the recidivism rate is about 100%. Once you go down this road of being a child rapist, child molester, it's almost, unless you do like chemical castration, unless you do something, a radical procedure like that, it's 100%. Then they're going to keep doing it over and over and over and over. It's a compulsion. Okay. It's a moral, spiritual disease. It's a sickness. It's an evil, evil sickness. Long story short, we were complaining, well, throw the book at him, life in jail, no parole, capital punishment, whatever. And the professor, this was then, very different time, he said, no, don't you guys get it? He goes, because it was a criminal justice class that I was taking. He goes, I'm very good friends with many of the judges. People will be outraged. This was then, not now. He goes, at the time, they go, well, why are you giving this guy a year sentence? He just molested a child. What, are you crazy? And he said the reason why they did that was because if he gives him a year or 18-month sentence, it's in a minimum security facility. He says he won't last 18 months in there. The judge is putting him in a minimum security facility because they're going to rape this guy. They're going to do God knows what to this guy before they eventually kill this guy. In Canada, they used to drown him in the toilet bowls. The guy would be found dead a year after being put in. Just, they drowned him in the toilet bowl after they, gave him a taste of his own medicine. So he was saying, you don't understand. If this guy gives him a maximum security prison sentence, life or no parole, he's going to be alone in his cell. Maybe the only chance they'll get to go after him is if he walks 1 hour outside. But, a lot of these guys then tend to live 10, 15, 20 years. And the judges are like, we don't want this guy to live 10, 15, 20 years. Minimum security. I'm going to give him 18 months. And why? Because he knew what was waiting for him. So my point is, even in the old days, let's say they weren't illegals, judges would do everything in their power to make sure, don't worry about it, the criminals in prison will take care of these animals. Now, you look at the Democratic Party, they keep trying to lower the age of sexual consent, lower and lower and lower. They're slowly sexualizing kids. They're pushing for kids to have sex change operations at 8, 9, 10 years old? Now, mark my words, you can hold me to this. In about 20 years, maybe even less, they're going to demand full, quote-unquote, civil rights for pedophiles and child molesters. Mark my words. They're going to want to decriminalize adults having sex with kids. You can clearly see where they're going with this. And so I believe, there's no question, this case right now, the Moonbats in Lawrence, the Moonbats in Boston, the Michelle Woos, the Maura Healeys, they ultimately don't care. He molests children. Well, that's just a sexual proclivity. That's all. That's how he swings. Some are gay, some are lesbian, some are bisexual, pansexual, this sexual, that sexual. This guy just happens to go for kids. That's all. What's the term now? Minor attracted persons? That's what the liberals now keep calling them? Hey, they're just they like the diddle kids. That's just, hey, maybe it's not for you, but it is for them. Live and let live. That's what's really underlying this. They're soft on child rapists because they ultimately want to legalize child rape. You're going to say I'm crazy. Okay. You're going to remember this in 20 years. Okay. I'm like the crazy uncle at the table that everybody says, oh, come on, Uncle Jeff, come on. And then 10, 15 years down the road say, my Uncle Jeff said that at Thanksgiving we were laughing at him 10, 15 years ago. Now he's a prophet. 617-266-6868. Lisa in Methuen. Thanks for holding, Lisa, and welcome.
I'm Jeff. I'm calling you from the lovely state of Florida on vacation. When I saw this article and where Methuen is right next to Lawrence, I was not surprised. And it seems like they're starting to get more people, at least in Lawrence, that are on fentanyl, child rape, all these other things. And if you've noticed, there's been a turn. A lot of people, instead of saying, this is how you do it to avoid ICE and everything, people are cheering that these people are getting caught. And I'll tell you the reason why Michelle Wu's kids are more important above others because they're protected. And unfortunately, unless it happens to her kid, then there's no way that she can deny it. But, when it comes down to the main scheme of everything, Jeff, it has to do with control, and there's money involved. And we have a neighbor down here. She's originally from Michigan. And we were outside working in the yard, and she was like, oh, yeah, did you see? My Social Security is going to be touched with Elon. And I'm like, see, this is the problem. They're either not reporting the things they need to report on the media, or they're reporting and fear-mongering, especially seniors, of what's going on. Jeff, there has to be a turnaround. And I know you've been talking about having rallies. We need to start doing rallies because this has to stop. This has to stop. When it comes to kids, the most precious thing in life, kids, the innocence of kids, and you're ruining that.
It's unspeakable. You're dead on, Lisa. You're dead on. Well, they're going to hear from us soon. It's going to be obviously a peaceful rally, but I'm hoping it's going to be a very big rally, a loud rally, and a powerful rally. Because honestly, enough is enough. 7:19 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, another shocking story about dereliction of duty by Michelle Wu, by Governor Maura Healey, by sanctuary city policies led by Democrats in Massachusetts. It's gone national. Now they have been caught harboring, coddling, and protecting a notorious rapist, child rapist, pedophile, and child molester who has raped numerous young kids. They knew about it. ICE put a detainer out for this guy from Ecuador, an illegal, 64 years old. They refused to honor the detainer, saying we do not cooperate with ICE. They let this animal out. That was 4 years ago. ICE just arrested him recently, and they issued a damning statement saying we don't know how many more children this serial sexual predator has preyed upon and molested or raped. Kristi Noem says Michelle Wu should be ashamed that she is now placing the interests of pedophiles over children, of sex predators over citizens, and that they now are above the law in Boston and in Massachusetts. My question to you, what should the Trump administration do, and what should we, the citizens of this great state, and the people of Boston, what should we do? What can we do to force Michelle Wu out and to have Healey be held accountable? 617-266-6868. Mark in Medford. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you on this lovely Monday?
Very good, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Jeff, let me give you a couple of reasons why I think the local media in Boston doesn't cover this and doesn't say a word about it. Here's one reason. Number one, they'll lose their jobs. Number two, if they did report it the way people of this city and of this state might actually change their mind on how they think about Michelle Wu and Maura Healey, and might actually change their mind at the ballot box, saying, yeah, I'm a Democrat, but I don't approve of this. This is disgusting. What do you think, Jeff?
Mark, if you don't mind me asking you a question first, I think you're spot on as usual, but you said they would lose their job. Why do you think they would lose their job? I think you're right, but why do you think, if they did report on this, why would they lose their job?
Obviously, Jeff, they're being paid off by the Democratic machine. And if they don't do what the Democratic machine tells them to do, then you're fired. End of story. Am I right or am I wrong, Jeff?
Oh, I think you're dead right. See, that's the thing, Mark, that I found most shocking. I first came here many years ago, And within a couple of years, I'm like, oh my God, the media is just as corrupt as the politicians. I mean filthy corruption on the take, looking to make money at every opportunity, incredibly cynical. They will say one thing on the air, I'm talking about a certain talk show host, and literally is taking money from, say, rhinos to sabotage conservatives. Like, I'm just saying, it's the Herald, the Globe, 4, 5, 7, 10, 25. It's shocking how corrupt they are. And ultimately, nobody wants to rock the boat. That nobody wants the corrupt status quo and the corrupt Democrat establishment to fall. The Republicans in this state, really, I keep saying this over and over again, but it's true. They want to be the Washington Generals to the Democrats as, Harlem Globetrotters. They pretend to play a game. They get humiliated. They lose, but then they get paid at the end. So their job is not to win. Their job is to pretend to oppose. It's sort of like professional wrestling. Okay, he's the good guy, you're the bad guy. You guys yell and scream and shout, and then, of course, you take a dive and you lose to the Democrats. And then in the locker room, they're all buddies and they exchange cash. I'm telling you, that's what I've come to realize. And anybody, I don't care how ineffective they may be, how limited they may be, how timid or tepid they may be, but anybody who actually is serious about taking the fight to the Democrats, they destroy. I mean, they literally destroy. And so that's what they do. And what they've tried to do to me is marginalize me. And that's where the uniparty comes in. So, as you know, the Republican Party, the Mass GOP, led by Amy Carnevale, has tried to get me taken off the air repeatedly. In fact, they went to the FCC to demand that the license be revoked so I never work again in radio. They've tried everything. You'll see. The Herald will show up at the rally we're going to do, and they're going to try to pick on something. There were 2 F-bombs that were said at the last rally. So these losers were going, it was filled with profanity. Oh, my God. There was F this, F that, F this. Oh, my God. There was so much swearing. And they try to make that, it failed. But that's what they do. They try to engage in pathetic character assassination. So the Globe either doesn't cover it or they literally make stuff up. Apparently, when I exposed Elizabeth Warren, and by the way, she's back in the news. I'm going to get to this very soon. But when I met Chief Spreading Bull, she came down to the studios, and I literally confronted her face to face. It was all on video. And I said, you claim to champion against the 1% on behalf of the 99%, but you're part of the 1%. Why don't you tell people you live in a mansion? Why don't you tell people you live in a gated, behind gates and walls? Why don't you tell people you're worth north of 25 million? And how did you get your money? Suddenly, the Boston Globe said I was in bed with this billionaire. I never heard of this billionaire. So, they lie, they smear, they attack, they try to destroy. That's what they do. 7:33 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, it's the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. If your city or town became a sanctuary city or a sanctuary town, would you leave? It's a straight question. Would you leave your sanctuary city or your sanctuary town? A, yes. B, no. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn as in National ER. You can also vote via X. Again, last night I was very active on X, really hammered Michelle Wu hard, but let that go. I urge all of you to follow me. My handle there, at the Kuhner Report, KUH, N as in National ER, all one word. I'm an A, yes, all the way. I mean, of course, you got to sell. I mean, I own a home. So, you got to sell. Maybe have the kids finish the school year. I'm not saying you do it, right away within 24 hours. But make no mistake about it. The town that I live in, Rentham, if it turned into a sanctuary town, I'm gone. I mean, it may take me 6 months, 9 months, whatever, to get everything in order, put the house up on the market, find another place, but I'm gone. Because everywhere you look, I don't care, Boston, New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, LA, Atlanta, take your pick. I'm going big cities, small cities, it doesn't matter. It goes sanctuary city, the place goes to hell. Sanctuary city is another way of saying third world. That's what happens. It becomes a third world city. You invite the third world, you become the third world. And I'm sorry, I don't want to live in the third world. That's me. Let's go back to Mark in Medford. Mark, let me ask you the ultimate question. Do you think Michelle Wu will ever pay a price for what she's done? Do you think any of these sanctuary city mayors will pay a price for breaking the law, for aiding and abetting all of this criminal behavior, for allowing murderers and gangbangers and now child rapists to run wild? Will they ever face the consequences of their actions? What say you?
Well, Jeff, it's funny that you asked me that question, because the next thing I was going to say was that Maura Healey and Michelle Wu, they have the nerve to go on television and tell you, me, and everybody else, Jeff, that nobody is above the law. But yet, they're breaking the law by harboring fugitives. I mean, I think I went over this with you a while ago, Jeff. I said to you, if I committed a crime, a heinous crime like that, and I came to your house and asked you to hide me, Jeff, and they found me, not only will I get arrested, but so will you. Isn't this the same thing, Jeff?
Mark, drop the mic. You're not 100. You're 1,000% correct. Thank you for that call, Mark. That's why, to Tom Holman, we're waiting. We're waiting. You said you were going to raise hell in Boston. Arrest Michelle Wu. Do us a favor. Agree, disagree. Dana in Haverhill. Thanks for holding, Dana, and welcome.
Thanks for taking my call. It's been a while, but I'm just sitting here this morning listening to you talk about this monster in Lawrence. And, as I sit here with my 2-year-old daughter and my newborn son, I'm so outraged. My blood's boiling. And how does a state like Massachusetts allow these people here, and how do they allow them to stay? And then I start thinking about what the Trump administration should do. And, we look at Maine and what he's doing there and withholding funding. I mean, something drastic needs to happen to this state before Michelle Wu or Governor Healey actually do something and see that its residents don't want this to continue.
Are you, if I'm getting too personal, please tell me, Dana, are you worried about your children? Are you worried about their safety? Do you now feel that the city of Boston, which is obviously the big magnet for all these illegals, and the governor and the the state government, that ultimately they're not protecting you, they're not protecting your children, they don't have your back? Are you concerned about their safety?
100%. I'm concerned about everyone's safety in this state. I'm concerned about here in Haverhill, my own town, that that it's just going to, the mayor here is just going to follow suit and do the same thing that Boston's doing, and is going to follow suit and say whatever, the governor says goes. I'm concerned for everyone's safety. It's terrible what this state has become, and it's so shocking that our elected officials, whether you look at the governor or you come even down to, a more local level, that they don't see the writing on the wall. Like, your constituents don't want this. How much more do we have to tell you and to share with you? I write to our local officials, whether it's here in Haverhill or state officials, that we don't want this. I'm fearful for my safety, for my children's safety, for my, my elderly family's safety. How can you help me? The amount of responses that aren't returned is just extraordinary.
Well,
and
look,
I know
Dana,
some of these.
Dana, here's what we're going to do, okay? And you're very powerful, very eloquent, honestly very moving. May 17th, okay, we've pretty much got a date. It's going to be May 17th. I'm going to give everybody more details, but we are going to hold a mother rally. I need all of you to show up. It's if we're going to take our state back, if we're going to start to move the needle, if we want our elected representatives to start to really listen, then we've got to show up in big numbers. We have to. We have to speak out. And if we don't, we're going to lose the whole state. And I'm not talking just in terms of politics. I'm talking about quality of life for us, our families, and our children. Because city after city, town after town, it's like a cancer. They're all going to go sanctuary city. The corruption doesn't stop. Now, I just very quickly, Dana, in the statement released by the DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, she openly says, okay, we got this guy. Thank the Lord. We've got him off the street. And how dare Michelle Wu allow this guy to run wild, to prey on children for all these years. But then she says something else. Do you know how many more we could be getting? You know how many more predators and rapists and child molesters and other illegal alien criminals we could be getting if we weren't constantly being blocked and obstructed and stopped by sanctuary city policies and sanctuary city officials? She goes, can you imagine if ICE was just able to do its job? She goes, you wouldn't believe the kind of people we'd have safe streets again. We'd have safe communities again. So what Kristi Noem is really saying, look, we can only do so much with the federal government. Ultimately, it's up to citizens. You've got to take your communities and your towns back. May 17th, we're going to send them now a message that they're going to remember for a very, very long time. Are you with me, Kuhner Country? 749 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, Dana messaged me on Messenger. She happened to get disconnected at the end, but she said, Jeff, I want to answer your poll question. You asked about moving if my town becomes a sanctuary city. Well, my husband and I dream about moving out of this state almost on a daily basis. But who would be here to fight the fight? That's why we stay. That's why my husband, a Navy SEAL, ran for state senate in 2022. Don't give up the ship. Well, please give my best to your husband. Tell him the Kuhner man a big thank you for his service. And you make a great point. I mean, if everybody just leaves, then it's over. Then the Moonbats have won. My fear is, this is my fear, that Massachusetts is going to go the way of California. That we're starting to become the California of the East Coast. I'm noticing now in story after story, it's been about 2 or 3 years, It's either a little bit New York, Illinois. Sometimes you will see big stories coming out of New York or Illinois in terms of liberal insanity. But it's usually now, it's a pattern. It's either California or Massachusetts. It's always one or the other is leading the way. As I said, intermittently you'll see New York, Illinois come in, but for the most part, it's Massachusetts or California. California has been bleeding people now for over a decade. And the last 5 years, it's an exodus. Small businesses, middle-class people, working-class people, taxpayers, their tax base is hemorrhaging. And Massachusetts, New York, by the way, same thing. They're all going to Florida. I have to say, Florida is getting wealthier and wealthier almost by the day because taxpayers keep fleeing to Florida. Massachusetts is now losing people. There's no question. But it's bad, but it could slowly become a mass exodus. You continue with these stories like this, and it doesn't matter whether the local media reports it or not. That's how stupid they are. You're going to see it on Fox. You're going to see it on Newsmax. Newsweek did a big story on it. You know, Sandy was just telling me before the show. She goes, Jeff, it's incredible. You punch this guy's name in, and there's all these national stories. And there's nothing in the local media. Nothing. Okay, probably with the exception of the Boston Broadside, which, I love. Okay, but outside of the Boston Broadside, nothing. But you're going to hear, people do read Newsweek, they watch Fox, they watch Newsmax, whatever. Gateway Pundit, whatever, townhall.com. You could go on and on. The story is everywhere. So eventually people will hear about it. They're not stupid. And if this continues, you keep coddling child rapists. And it's not just that they coddled a child rapist. It's that, okay, ICE wants a detainer. Honor the detainer. What is wrong with you? This guy had over 20 charges on raping a child. What are you protecting him for? What are you protecting? And then you don't just not honor the detainer, you let him out on bail? And the guy's been running wild for the last 4 years, as Christy Nome says. How many more, as the Boston field director said, the ICE Boston field office, how many more children has this guy preyed upon and raped? Had you told us, had you let us get him 4 years ago, how many lives would you have, saved? How many of these young kids would not have been molested or raped? See, and that's why they have to cover it up. That's why they got to sweep it under the rug. If it starts, it starts coming out, 2 kids were raped, 3 kids were raped, 4 kids were raped, 5 kids were raped. Because they cut him loose 4 years ago. I don't care. Moonbat, no Moonbat. Blue state, no blue state. Michelle Wu is finished. Maura Healey is finished. That's why they got to cover this thing up. But I think the people are going to continue to leave. I mean, there's only, you tax me, you regulate me, here. I don't want to get off topic. I just got this notice Friday. My water bill's going to go up again from the town of Rentham. 24%. They do it over 3 years. So it's 6%. Then it's going to go up 8%. Then it's going to go up 10%. It's a 24% increase over 3 years for water. My water bill already is extremely high. Like, you wouldn't want to suck blood from a stone? So you keep taxing and regulating, just pounding the middle class. On top of that, you're letting criminals and illegals keep pouring in. You know what? I'm sorry. I love Massachusetts. I love its history, its heritage, its culture, its people. I really do. But I don't have a death wish. I'm sorry, I don't. So I'm out of here. I mean, I'm not now, but I'm just saying you keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Yeah, people are going to leave. Of course they're going to leave. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Tommy in Brockton. Thanks for holding, Tommy, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. Good morning.
Hi, Tommy. Good morning, Tommy.
Yeah. Listen, with regards to what's going on in this state, they don't care about the average citizen, and they're going to look the other way. And, you know, in 2019, the Boston Globe wrote an article. There's anywhere from 300 to 500 homeless veterans in the Boston city limits on a nightly basis, sleeping outside. So the narrative was that they need more funding. Well, Lawrence, Taunton, Worcester, you name it, all these hotels have contracts with the state of Massachusetts for I don't know how many years, to the tune of anywhere from $150 a night for a hotel room to $175. All of a sudden, they magically come up with this money, and the state they've already pissed away the $3 billion rainy day fund. And it's obvious to me that I look at the big picture. What they want to do is bankrupt, and I'm talking about progressives. They want to bankrupt this country. And once it's bankrupt, everything is just going to go to hell in a handbasket. And that's when people are going to be begging the government to come back in and help us out. That's when they rewrite the Constitution, they break out the military, and maybe I sound like a nut job, but it's been done in other countries. And ultimately, I think that, you know, we're on a precipice. We're standing on the edge of the 51st floor in a building with our toes looking down at the ground. And I don't know. I just see everything as these are not the Democrats of my 20s and early 30s. And right around the end of my 20s, I started hearing that term progressive. I didn't know what it meant, but I knew they were always like way out of the Democrat mainstream. And it dawned on me maybe 20 years ago, these aren't Democrats. These are closeted communists. These are closeted totalitarians that think they want the government to control every aspect of your life, from where you live, what you earn, what kind of medical treatment you can have. And, you know, it's just the way I see it. But I just want to say one thing, Jeff, with your listeners. Barbara in Maryland, someone from the Trump administration needs to get a hold of her and hire her. What she said last week about Pam Bondi was spot on. She needs to get off Fox News and start arresting people and charging them. And the other thing, when you spoke about your dad about a week and a half ago when he'd go on his trips working for an automobile company in Canada, and when you said, and I was in the middle of drinking my coffee, when you said they were boozers, I spit up my coffee laughing so hard. But anyway, no, I like hearing stories about your dad. But and one other point, in 2012 on my Facebook page, I made the prediction that pedophilia would slowly be normalized, and it would first come within the gay rights movement as well as academia. And lo and behold, it looks like I was correct. And I have no issue with men that are homosexual or women that are lesbian or homosexual. I support gay marriage because marriage is a legal contract. However, the envelope has been pushed too far, and I visited my old high school, Foxborough High School, in April of 2020, and couldn't believe what I saw in the social studies on the second floor of LGBTQ, all the above. And it's like, wait a minute. We've got kids over in China in the 8th grade that are taking calculus, and here you are teaching kids how to put a condom on and a damn banana. The inmates are running the asylum. And that's why Trump won the election.
Oh, you're dead on. Tommy, as usual, you're absolutely dead on. Tommy, thank you very, very much for that call. 617-266-6868. No, look, just super, super quick. He's completely right. And you got these these sanctuary cities are going to kill us. I mean, they are. You can't keep allowing this level of crime, of parasites, of leeches, of people coming in who are living off the fat of the land and absorbing all of our resources. You know, we've got all this money to put up illegals in hotels and motels. 150, 175, 200, 250, 300 a night. 3 square meals a day. They even do their cleaning. I'm not kidding. Their dry cleaning. I mean, they really take care of them. We can't go around and take care of our homeless veterans? No. An illegal doesn't get a room. A homeless veteran gets a room. There's plenty of money to take care of the homeless veterans. The problem is, as Tommy rightly said, they've squandered the $3 billion rainy day fund because all they're doing now is spending money on illegals. Now, just to show how Tommy is right, AOC, now clearly seen as the voice of the Democratic Party. There was a recent poll among Democrats. They said, who do you see now as the leader of the Democratic Party? Even more than Bernie, even more than the chief, okay? Pocahontas, Chief Fullable. It was AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She recently gave an interview. You can check it out. Don't take my word for it. Where she said, quote, America must have its downfall. That America is in decline and that it must fall and it must collapse. She's openly calling for the downfall of America and capitalism. And she says when it does eventually crumble, her words are crumble and then collapse, then we can pick up the pieces, her words, and create a society based on, quote, equity and justice, unquote, i.e. socialism, communism. She's a revolutionary communist. She openly said it. So, and she's bragging, and by the way, and she's talking to all these, woke influencers, and they're all nodding their head up and down like, yep, it's a really good thing. Yep. So she's like, let America collapse. As she put it, it's destined to collapse. It's unsustainable. It never was, going back hundreds of years. So, yes, you nailed it, Tommy. It's not a conspiracy theory. They openly say it. They want to bankrupt this country. They want to destroy it from within in order to create their socialist utopia from the rubble. From the rubble, socialism will then emerge. That's their vision. Now, you tell me, how's a woman like that a member of Congress? Never mind a leading, if not the leading voice of the Democratic Party. They're no longer closet communists. They're now out of the closet. I mean, this is pure, open, naked communism. So that's what the Democratic Party has become. 617-266-6868 is the number. Maria in Ludlow. Thanks for holding, Maria, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
Very good. How are you, Maria?
I'm doing okay. So there's a couple of points I wanted to say. So I have a senior in high school, my daughter, and she had her heart set on going to Wentworth in Boston, and I totally talked her out of it. And I was like, absolutely not. I am sorry, but the way things are going, it's not going to happen because it is not safe. So she chose to go to a university closer to the house, which is wonderful. My point being is that Maura Haley and Michelle Wu, they took an oath when they became big cheeses here. They took an oath, not for the American people, the Massachusetts residents. They took an oath to the illegals. Because if you and I, Jeff, we broke the law, our behinds would be in jail. Because, like they say, nobody's above the law but themselves. I have made numerous phone calls, wrote emails to the state, and it's clear to me as day that they don't care. They don't care about the Americans living here in Massachusetts. Their oath is to the illegals. That's whom they care about. The safety of our young generation, of our daughters, our sons, it is irrelevant to them. They don't care. So making phone calls, getting emails, trying to get a hold of these people, I'm sure they listen to our messages, and they must laugh and press delete. So I am sick and tired of that. I am no longer doing that. I am now going straight to, I am writing to Pam Bondi. I am writing to the FBI guy. I am writing to the, what's his name, the head of, I don't even remember his name, but the Speaker of the House. Okay?
Oh, Mike Johnson. Yeah, Mike Johnson.
Mike Johnson. To hear our calls, to hear mother's calls, because this is no longer, this is a serious matter. These people here in Massachusetts, they're choosing illegals. They're putting our children's life at safety. My life at safety, for that matter. They do not care. So these big people, Van Bondi needs to get off box and do her job. Because at this point in time, I think I can do her job for her. It's quite pathetic. I am sick and tired of this woman not arresting anybody. Somebody needs to get arrested. Somebody needs to come to Massachusetts and arrest Michelle Wu and make sure she pays all the money back that she used to get ready to go to Washington, D.C. She used our taxpayer money to get herself ready to lie under oath, okay, with her fake cross on her forehead. It should have burned her forehead, okay? And Michelle and Maura Haley, the same thing, because they are breaking the law. So should be consequences following to what they're doing, and they don't care. Their oath is to the wrong people, and I am so sick and tired of it. So sick and tired of paying for this, because it's just outrageous, and I am continuing to call. I don't care. I don't care who the hell I have to call, but I am calling these people's office. I am leaving messages. I am sending emails, and I will continue to do so. But to Boston, I won't do it anymore because I've been doing for a long time, and my phone to this day has never rang with saying, "Hey, Maria, let's have a conversation about this. You're concerned." No, never. Because why? They don't care. My gas bill, Jeff, I just got a gas bill for this month, $552, and the gas went up. I almost died when I saw that bill. I actually called the gas company, making sure it wasn't a mistake, and they said, no, it went up. I'm like, how am I going to come up with $552 to pay for my gas bill? Because why? Because we have to pay for these goddamn illegals to make sure their asses are heated. It's pathetic. I am so done.
I mean, honestly, look, they're going to kill us. I'm telling you, economically, financially. Almost $600 for a gas bill. These people are crazy. I'm telling you, they're nuts. They're crazy. So, look, Maria, trust me on this. Look, it's great that you're reaching out to Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and Mike Johnson. We're going to have one big, big rally, and we're going to get it covered. We're going to put it on social media. We're going to have it streamed. It's going to go everywhere. We're going to have millions of people are going to be watching it on Facebook and X, and it's going to be big. So that's why I'm asking Kuhner Country, join me May 17th. Put it on your calendar. I'll give you all the details, all the specifics. But look, we've got to say no to the corruption, no to the illegals, no to the skyrocketing gas and electricity bills. We got to stop this because this is our future. These are our families. This is our life. And we're not going to let them crush it. It's enough is enough. They have to start hearing from us with big numbers and a loud, clear voice. Maria, thank you very much for that call, as always. 617-266-6868. Okay, let me put this log on the fire. Are you seriously considering leaving Massachusetts? Or to even expand it a little bit more, are you seriously considering leaving your town or your city now that it's become a sanctuary city or a sanctuary town? Have you had enough? I'm just curious. I'm staying because I love this state. My wife and my kids love it here. But if my town went sanctuary town or sanctuary city, I would move. I don't know if I'd move out of the state, probably, but I would definitely move. Again, it would take me 6 months, 9 months. I can't just move overnight, but I'd be out of there. Would you leave, or are you planning to leave? Your calls next. Okay, many of you are reacting to this bombshell story that the local media is not covering. They're, at least up to now, they have refused to cover. Nationally, it's everywhere. Locally, they want to bury this as deep as they can, about Michelle Wu and the people at Lawrence, the sanctuary city officials in Lawrence, the Democrats, who deliberately shielded and protected a child rapist for years and years and years. Knowing that he was preying on innocent children, they refused to hand him over to ICE, a 64-year-old illegal alien from Ecuador, Gilberto Avila Jara. And apparently he's been charged with over 20 crimes just on one child alone, multiple rapes. I don't even want to get into the details. It is beyond heinous and despicable. ICE asked for him in a detainer, demanded. He's an illegal. He's a sex predator, a child molester, a serial pedophile. We want him. We want him out of the country. Lawrence said, no, we don't cooperate with ICE. This is a sanctuary city, baby. And they released him out on bail. They lost track of him. He went into Boston. Michelle Wu coddled him. And now ICE finally has arrested him, and they are livid. The ICE Boston field director said, we don't know how many more kids he's raped or molested because of people like Michelle Wu and sanctuary city policies being pushed by Democrats. So this is from 603. You can text the Kuhner man, 70470. Jeff, it doesn't matter that Michelle Wu has children because it's not her children that have been affected. We're not dealing with people who look out for the interests of others or for the greater public welfare and honor the golden rule of do unto others as you would have done unto you. As with all Marxists, and especially the ones who get into power, we're talking about the most self-centered, self-absorbed, and selfish people in our society. Unless something affects Michelle Wu or Maura Healey personally and directly, if major political heat is not brought on them, it'll be like it never even happened. It's simply no skin off their communist noses. Brilliant. 603, you're a genius. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Because it's true. It's completely true. Unless there's a political price to be paid, unless they take a real hit in their re-election chances or their popularity, they don't care. They don't care. As long as their kids aren't being raped, they don't care. You know, I used to say I'm trying to shame the media into doing their job. In this state, they don't have any shame. They don't have any shame. There's nothing to shame because they're shameless. Let me just read one more. This is from 781. Jeff, and again, makes a really, really good point. Jeff, from the rat-infested streets to the human misery and suffering that is Mass and Cass. And by the way, for those of you that listen nationally, Mass and Cass is a part of Boston where people are openly shooting up. They're doing drugs. overdosing, fentanyl, heroin, homeless people, tents, forgive me, feces, urine, defecating everywhere. Everywhere. And they refuse to clean it up. The mayor refuses, the governor refuses, the Democrats who run the state, they couldn't care less. So, from the rat-infested streets to the human misery and suffering that is mass and caste, the far left doesn't care that the conditions of the people they rule over, they just want to rule, they want power, period. If they can achieve electoral success by driving up taxes and making living standards so poor people flee, all the better. Boston and Massachusetts. Now listen to this prediction, because I think 781 is correct. Boston and Massachusetts is headed for Seattle, Washington. And look at those needles and that needle-littered city. That's what's going to happen. We're a couple years away from this if we don't put the brakes on it pronto, immediately. You want to see needles everywhere? You want to see mass and caste, sort of like San Francisco, spread all over Boston? You want to see crime go absolutely out of control? That's what's going to happen if we don't excise this cancer now. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. And let me ask all of you this. I know we're talking a lot about crime and predators and sanctuary cities. But let me tell you what is also happening, not just in Massachusetts, in New York, in Illinois, in Washington State, in California. It's the soaring cost of living in these blue states under Democratic rule. We heard Marie in Ludlow, almost $600 for her gas bill. I talked about this last week. Over $2,000 in my utility, electric, and gas bills. $2,000. As Grace and I were talking, I go, this is unsustainable. And it's because Maura Healey and the Democrats all across New England, it's not just in Mass. Okay, so I was just saying, I talked about how recently got our energy bill, our gas bills, combined $2,000. $2,000. And as Grace said to me, look, Jeff, this is unsustainable. We just can't continue to keep paying this. Now, we know it's not ultimately the fault of Eversource or National Grid. This is a mandate. Literally a mandate passed by the Democrat legislature, signed by Maura Healey, which wants to convert all energy in this state from fossil fuels, essentially, and nuclear, to solar, wind, and battery, which is extremely expensive. Extremely expensive. It's low density, doesn't give you a lot of power, it's not very reliable, and the costs are enormous. And so what is happening now, the reason why you're probably wondering is, over the last couple of years, and especially now, and going into the future, why are my energy bills so freaking high, Jeff? It's part of a larger compact in New England. The whole region is now being forced eventually to go green. Prices on your energy bill are going to go up $100 every month, $1,200 every year, and they're going to keep doing this until 2050 because they want to hit net zero. No carbon emissions whatsoever, none. So to hit net zero, listen to this, your energy bill is going to automatically go up on average per family. Some a little more, some a little less, but on average, $1,200 a year. $100 a month. So say your energy bills now for the year are 2,000. Next year, it'll be 3,200. The year after that, 4,400. The year after that, 5,600. The year after that, 6,800. And it's just going to keep going up and up and up and up. They're going to bankrupt us. This is, by the way, what they did in Germany. They've done this in other European countries. It has wiped out the middle and working class. So this is our future. And the reason why they don't want to have a state audit, it's all tied together. It's the corruption. Why don't they want to have a state audit, even though 72% of voters voted for it in the November 2024 election on the ballot? Why don't they want to open up the books? Because everything, the corruption is primarily through Mass Save, which is this green energy slush fund that is driving these higher energy bills, higher energy costs. So you're going to find out, like we just found out last week, that there is so much corruption, bribery, waste, abuse of taxpayer dollars. We're talking billions and billions and billions. That's why the Democrats are refusing to cooperate with the state auditor to open up the books, because once you open up the books, my friends, you're looking at the mother of all scandals. And that's why they have to close ranks. That's why all the money's going to illegals, all the money's going to Democrat politicians and their cronies and their family members. Here, we talked about unemployment benefits, that Doge uncovered unemployment benefits going to babies, to toddlers, tens of millions to kids ages between 1 and 5. What, 2-year-olds are working now and collecting unemployment? Or how many of them now are going to people that are over 115 years old, 120, 130? It's obvious fraud. And the biggest is people who aren't even born yet. As I mentioned, in one case, the person claims he was born August 1st, 2154, and has gotten over $41,000 in checks, unemployment checks. Now you're saying, Jeff, why are you mentioning this? There were 3 states primarily involved in this scam. 3. I guess you can guess who they are. It's always the same ones. California, New York, and here it is, the People's Republic of Massachusetts. You think they want a state audit? You're going to find out about welfare checks to illegals, unemployment checks to illegals. God knows what they're lining their pockets with. You're going to find out about this massive green energy slush fund that is causing all of our energy prices to go through the roof. So my point is a very simple one. Our cost of living, not only is our standard of living going down, I feel it over the last 10 years, standard of living has gone down. Cost of living is exploding. Whether it's my energy bill, my gas bill, whether it's rent, whether it's, you can run down the line, food, groceries, taxes. I just told you my water bill. They did 24% increase in my water bill. I'm not getting better water. I mean, why another 24%? Now, it's not one thing that kills you. It's a combination of things. But here, just to give you a simple example, okay? Very simple example. My wonderful Ava, as you know, I love her to death. She's the apple in my eye. Had an outstanding report card. I mean, her best report card of her entire life. And not only did she really kill it with her grades, but apparently her teacher says, Jeff and Grace, we went to the parent-teacher conference, and said she's a doll to work with. Her attitude, her behavior, she's almost perfect in the classroom. She's very friendly, very cooperative, doesn't disrupt anymore. So I was really proud of her, very happy with her. I said, you know what, sweetheart? You've earned it. I'm going to give you one day, a treat day. What would you like? Because you really deserve it. You work so hard. You're so good in school. You've really turned things around. So what did she want? She wanted to bring one of her best friends and to go have McDonald's and then after that to go see Snow White. Okay, the movie. I heard bad things about Snow White. It's a woke Snow White. It's a DEI Snow White, but let that go. If Ava wants to go see it, that's my little baby. Go ahead, no problem. She earned it. I take my family plus Ava's friend, so that's 5 of us, to go to McDonald's. It's almost $100. It's almost $100. Okay? Now, granted, it's one more. Usually we're 4, but this time it was 5. She brought a friend. It's McDonald's, for God's sake. Went to the movies. Now, Grace and I and Ashton didn't see Snow White. We saw another movie, but the times were very similar, so it wasn't a problem. 5 tickets, $15 a piece. That's what it costs now to see a movie. 5 people, $75. Throw in a couple popcorns and a couple of drinks. That's it. Nothing lavish. Couple of popcorns, couple of sodas. It cost me way over $100. Now, my point is, all I did was take my family and Ava's friend to McDonald's and the movies. That's it. That's it. Over $200. Okay, speaking of another important story, big story, that the entire local, not the entire, but much of the local media is ignoring. Not all, but many are. You got to listen to this at 9:30, coming up in just 40 minutes. Trust me, ay, 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 ay. But let me ask all of you this. When you look at your bills, when you look at your rent, you look at your mortgage, you look at your food, you look at your groceries, you look at eating out, you look at your taxes, you look at everything that you have to pay, your overall cost of living, do you find it harder and harder to live in Massachusetts? Or frankly, in any blue state? Because what's happening here is happening in every blue state in the entire country. To me, you combine that with the sanctuary city policies and the crazy politics, it's unsustainable. I don't see how you can sustain this over the long run. I have felt my standard of living go down over the last 10 years. Have you? And are you now increasingly finding it harder to make ends meet and to pay your bills? 617-266-6868. Are you getting richer or poorer? I want to hear from you, Kuhner Country. Lines are loaded. Okay, 617-266-6868. John in Dunstable. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure, John.
Yeah, you look good on Newsmax, too. Just put that out.
Oh, thank you. Would you catch me on the Wendy Bell show?
I did. You look great, Jeff.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
Very good. Hey, Jeff, just so you know, in my eyes, if anybody would do that to a child, rape, molest, that's worse than murder, Jeff. And I'm going to tell you, Jeff, that I've been around a long time. I don't know one case, and maybe Sandy, being a lawyer, could look this up, where a child rapist was ever given bail. I think it's unheard of, especially one, Jeff, that was convicted of it at a prior time back in the 90s when he was deported. Now, where did he get the bail money, Jeff? And what was the bail? The bail had to be millions to get out on it. All right? Every person, the judge, the court officers, if the police were involved in it, they have to be arrested, Jeff, and charged. They take an oath before whether it's a judge or or the officers, the court officers, to let that guy go, to protect, serve the public. That certainly wasn't protecting the public, letting a child rapist, and God knows what else the guy did out onto the streets, and that's not protecting the children. They have to be arrested. If this doesn't happen, Jeff, and all it's going to take, Jeff, is for Holman and President Trump to do it one time, and these people will stop. If he rounded up everybody involved and threw them in jail, this would stop, Jeff. But we had a president, Jeff, that they thought it was great that they went around sniffing little kids and took showers with his own daughter. I mean, this is the problem, Jeff. They have to arrest us. If this doesn't happen, Jeff, I mean, I've said it before, but we're screwed, Jeff. And I'd like to have Sandy, if she could do it, look it up to see when do child rapists, especially ones that were convicted of it in the past, get bailed out. I don't think it's possible. I do not think that's possible.
You know, you make a brilliant point, Sean. Honestly, if it's never been done before, it's extremely rare, almost unheard of. That's what I mean. Like, this is what these liberals are proud of? This is what they're defending? I mean, it's disgusting. I want to read to you a text that I got, and I want to get your reaction, John, because this is starting to sum up the feelings of many, not all, but many in this audience in Kuhner country. From 617, Jeff, Pam Bondi thus far has arrested 0 Democrat criminals. By this time during Biden's presidency, which is 100 days, they had arrested 400 Trump supporters. Get that through your damn heads. No more, can't say this on the air, no more effing excuses. And I think what the texter means is through Pam Bondi's heads and the DOJ, and in other words, stop with the excuses. Within 100 days of Biden's presidency, 400 Trump supporters had been arrested, many of them J6ers. So far, 0 Democrat criminals. 0. I agree with you, John. It's time to arrest Michelle Wu. I mean, she's almost begging for it. Am I wrong?
You're 100% right, Jeff. And not just Michelle Wu. The judge that was involved with giving him bail. If there was court officers there, arrest them. If the Lawrence police was there, arrest the chief of police and arrest the cops that were there. That's what has to be done. They got to come down hard. For crying out loud, Jeff, a president of the United States home was raided by the FBI with, listen to this, shoot to kill. They wanted to massacre his family. I mean, this is insane, Jeff. And I'm telling you right now, I thought something was going to happen. I don't think anything's going to happen. It's going to be up to the people. And I hope it's not too far gone that we can't take this back. And I really think it is, Jeff. I hate to be a gloom and doomer, but this is really, really unbelievable. You couldn't make a movie.
Well, look, John, that's why we got to keep putting pressure on Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice. And look, eventually she's going to have to get the message. Either we start seeing serious arrests, and again, you don't need much of an investigation anymore. I mean, you're right. The evidence here is damning. You've got Kristi Noem, the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, openly now on X, telling Michelle Wu, what you're doing is beyond disgusting and despicable. You literally have put the lives of children at risk. So she's breaking the law. Michelle Wu is breaking the law. She's coddling child rapists. She's allowing them to run free. ICE is now saying that there have been multiple rapes because they released this animal in 2021 out on bail. How much more does Michelle Wu have to do? And I agree with you. You just have to arrest one. Just one. And that's going to send a chilling message to every other sanctuary city mayor or governor. So what are they afraid of? And if she doesn't have the stones, if she doesn't have the spine to do it, then get an AG that will. Either you do the job or you don't do the job. And if you're not up for it, which is fine, you want to be a talking head on Fox, no problem. Talk away on Fox. But let us get Ken Paxton from Texas. Okay, I know he's running now against John Cornyn for the Senate. But Paxton, I'll tell you this, Ken Paxton would lock up Michelle Wu. That you can take to the bank. So there are others. I'm not just saying it's only Ken Paxton. Matt Whitaker would lock her up. There's many people that are willing to put them behind bars. Like enough is enough, man. And it's easy for people to stand there and say, poor Pam Bondi, poor DOJ, they got so much on their plate. What if that was your child that was raped? Okay, my Ava, who, Ashton's 15 now, so he's above 14 years old. This guy was raping children 14 and under. I'm telling you, if you want, I'll read to you the details of the charges against him. What he did to some young children, oh my God. Oh my God. This man is the devil. What he did with certain objects to one of these kids, oh my God. Oh my God. You let an animal like that out on the streets? So what if this happened to your child? And you find out, they had him? And ICE wanted him? And ICE put a detainer out for him? And you let him out? And for 4 years you let him out? So not only was my child raped and molested, God knows how many other children were raped and molested. And I'm sorry, John, I can't wrap my mind around this. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's my upbringing. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. I don't care how much money you're taking from the Democratic Party. I don't care how much money you're taking from the mass GOP and you're some corrupt rhino. Okay? Hey, look, even mobsters don't do children. I'm serious. I'm telling you. You can look it up. Even they say, no, whoa. No. We don't molest kids and we don't protect people who molest kids. I'm telling you. Even drug traffickers and mobsters, I'm telling you, even they have certain principles. I'm not glamorizing them. I'm just telling you the truth. That these scumbags in the media at least report on this story, which now apparently even more national media outlets have picked up since the show started today. I mean, this thing nationally, this thing is like a prairie wildfire. It's everywhere. And here they won't touch it with a 10-foot pole to cover up those crooks, Michelle Wu and Maura Healey. I never thought I could lose more respect for these people. I swear to you, I just did. To call them whores, I swear to God, is an insult to whores. 61. Thank you for that call, John. 617-266-6868 is the number. Ray in North Carolina. Thanks for holding, Ray, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, I screwed up. I should have told you, Screener, I'm from East Boston. She probably thinks I'm a hillbilly.
No. You're so funny.
Two things, right? Before I lose my train of thought, I'm getting old. Massachusetts, the ship is already sunk, so you can tell that woman about the ship. The ship is sunk. You're knowledgeable on a lot more subjects than I am, but not this one. Born and brought up in East Boston, you're a beginner. My uncle worked in the Mayor White administration. The state is a disease. It's gone. I don't know what it is. I still haven't figured it out, and I've been there most of my life. At 17 years old, my best friend was ambushed, shot in cold blood, unarmed, never did a thing in his life by a junkie. The junkie served 8 years in prison. So this disease started a long time ago. Number two, if what I've been listening to about these children is true with this man, first of all, shame on any grown man that didn't shoot him. Second of all, if the Trump administration is honest about what they want to do, this should be on national TV tonight, and they should arrest her on national TV. Otherwise, they're playing a phony lying game, too. Those are my two thoughts for the morning. I'm on Route 95 driving out of North Carolina.
Ray, if you don't mind me asking, do you live now in North Carolina?
Go between Mass, North Carolina, and Florida for anyone that cares.
Interesting. Ray, I take it you still have a home in Mass, correct?
I stay with my brother when I'm there when I need to. The only reason I step in Massachusetts is because, unfortunately, I have what's called a back surgeon.
Oh yeah, no. The medical research and the hospitals and the medical care, I have to say, is top notch. You're right. No, really. You can't. You're right. No, look, I got to say this. I mean, when I go see my eye doctor, I don't want to turn this about me, but I'm just saying, when I go see my eye doctor, okay, and she's one of the best, they come in from Maine, they're coming in from Vermont, they come in from New Hampshire, obviously, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and many of them will drive like 4, 5, 6 hours. Like, say, for a 10 o'clock in the morning appointment or a noon appointment, I'm waiting to get I'm waiting to see my doctor. And, I talk to people. I'm a very, gregarious kind of guy. And, they'll say, oh, no, we left at 2 in the morning. I go, really? They go, oh, yeah, no, you don't get this kind of medical care in Maine or in Vermont or, they go like, really? I think people in Boston don't appreciate how good the medical facilities are. And they're right. They're right. So there's still things about Mass that are superb. There's no question. No, the only reason why I'm asking, Ray, is essentially you've left Mass. I know you come back once in a while, but your primary place of residence, I assume, is either North Carolina or Florida. You've essentially now left Massachusetts, correct?
To God, I did it 30 years ago, and anyone listening to me under the age of 30, get out. Get out while you can.
Interesting. Ray, you're saying you think there's no hope? You're saying from your experience, born and bred, raised in East Boston, you're saying, Jeff, this is a losing battle.
It's gone. I can't get into what I've done, what I did, one of the things I did in Massachusetts for 35 years, because I still have contacts that might be punished. I'm telling you, forget it. It's over. They would reelect every person you're talking about tomorrow morning after that man rapes another kid.
Incredible. Ray, don't be a stranger. Call more often, my friend. Ray, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868. Karen, another one in North Carolina, a double NC. All right, Karen in North Carolina, thanks for holding and welcome. Karen? Okay, we lost Karen. That would have been cool to have back-to-back calls from the Tar Heel State. That would have been really cool. 6-1, especially if Karen spoke with that charming Carolina accent, which is my favorite accent in the entire world. I love, doesn't matter, North or South Carolina. I don't care what you say, just keep talking. Oh, she wasn't from North Carolina, so she didn't have that charming Carolina accent, that twang. She didn't. Oh, okay. 6-1, because I swear I can just listen to it all day. I don't care what you're saying. You just keep talking. Really, I swear. I'd be like, so tell me about your whole life. Start from the beginning. No, I mean when you were born. Just keep talking. Sean in Medford. Thanks for holding, Sean, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Thank you for taking my call. First
my
time
pleasure,
caller.
Sean. Welcome.
I'm listening to everyone, yelling, screaming about Pam Bondi, and I totally agree. But can you imagine the optics of her or Tom Holman hauling away Healy or Wu? What the Democrats or the media would do? These people will be martyrs. They want this to happen. They're begging for us. They will absolutely be made martyrs if they start getting hauled away. Absolutely.
So, Sean, you're thinking, in other words, you're saying, don't play into their hands.
No, definitely not.
You do this, you're going to give them what they want, which is, A, Trump's a dictator. He's locking his political opponents up. They're being arrested. It'll turn them overnight into Democrat rock stars and martyrs. Leave them alone. Cut their funding. There's many ways to go after them to skin a cat, but don't arrest them, correct?
Starve them to death. Starve them. Take all the money away. Starve them to death. And plus, what people in Massachusetts care? Nobody cares. It doesn't seem like Massachusetts cares, the citizens. You got a handful on your station. Yeah, of course, everyone calls up. But nobody cares. You don't see anybody complain. You don't see people standing in front of City Hall. You just don't see it. Nobody cares.
Sean, let me ask you this. Sean, let me, because you put your finger right on it. You know, you said nobody cares. Why? Really, why? I mean, you care, obviously. This audience cares. But why do so many moonbats, liberals, Democrats in this state? I mean, we're now talking child rape, for God's sake. Like, don't they have children? I mean, do they want their children to be raped? Why? And I think Ray in North Carolina nailed it. Even if this guy went out and raped again, they would still probably reelect Wu and Healy. Why, Sean? What's your theory? Why?
One, the Democrats, I used to be a Democrat. I mean, I don't know their logic. I think they're so brainwashed. They are just so brainwashed. And the people like us, we're too afraid, it seems like. Nobody wants to speak up. Oh, I'm going to get called names, this, that, the other thing. Nobody wants to stand up. It wasn't like this when we were growing up. And this would not happen when we were growing up, Jeff. I can remember. I'm sorry. I can remember. It just happened, I guess, in the 90s. A little boy, he got kidnapped, raped, murdered. These guys were dead. They were dead men walking. Dead men walking. As soon as one of the guys hit jail, he got beat up. Now it just seems like everyone, nope. I'd rather bury my head in the sand. And I cannot understand why.
Oh, you nailed it. A great call, honestly. Back-to-back phenomenal calls. Let me ask all of you, really, what's changed? Because Sean is right. 617-266-6868. Okay, coming up in 11 minutes, another story that the media, not all of it, but much of the media, deliberately ignoring, is Boston, is Massachusetts now becoming dangerous for Trump supporters. You are not going to believe this story. But first, I want to go right back to the phone lines, 617-266-6868. 603 just texted in saying, Jeff, the reason why people don't care anymore, empathy has been replaced by apathy. Yes, but what's causing the apathy? What's changed in the last, say, 30 years? Where in the past people would care about child rapists and them being let loose on the streets. And they'd be furious at politicians and they'd hold them accountable. It'd be a political career ender. It would end their careers. They'd be finished politically. Now, nothing. It's almost like a badge of honor. Is it social media? Is it drugs? Is it, the opiates and the fentanyl and the pills that is it that? Is it the drug culture? Is it the media? Is it the education system? Is it, as one person messaged me on Messenger, are we now just mainstreaming abhorrent behavior? And we've just become so numbed and desensitized? What do you think is causing this mass apathy among so many liberals and moonbats that even now child rape and molesting children, it's no big deal. 617-266-6868. Mike in Saugus. Thanks for holding, Mike, and welcome.
Jeff, it's really good to hear that you're going to have a rally coming up. I'm really looking forward to it. But, Jeff, I want to tell you what I think has happened in Massachusetts with the rotten Democrats that we have now. They are not like the Democrat Party of the 70s and the 80s, where we had Ray Flynn and Ed Brooke and decent people that had moral values and also followed the law. These Democrats in Massachusetts, they have lost their mind. The Democrat politicians in Massachusetts are Marxist, socialist, communist, controlled by the devil.
Mike, I agree with you completely. Let me ask you this. And, I wasn't a big fan of Mayor Menino. I teased him. Mumbles and, and he wasn't the brightest light bulb and I made fun of him. But Mike, you may disagree with me. I don't think Menino would have put up with child rapists and child molesters. I mean, whatever you thought of Menino would not have allowed Boston to become a sanctuary city. Never mind, just say, hey, you want to release illegal alien child rapists and sex predators on the streets? Go ahead. Don't tell ICE. Let them prey on young, innocent kids. Even Menino was 100 times better than the people that we have today. Am I wrong?
You're right. I don't think Menino would have put up with it. I think he was a decent man. He had some ways that I didn't like, is the way he governed. But I don't think he would have put up with these pedophiles hurting these innocent children that is going to be affected for the rest of their life.
Mike, you are 1,000% correct. Thank you very much for that call. He's right. The Democratic Party has changed. It has changed dramatically. It's been transformed. And look, it's the Communist Party. It really is. Michelle Wu she's a Maoist. Michelle Wu is a Marxist communist. Elizabeth Warren is a Marxist communist. Ed Markey, Marcula, I want to suck your blood. I want to take your money. Okay, he's a Marxist. He's a communist. Maura Healey is, for all intents and purposes, a communist. Joe Biden governed as a commie. He did. AOC is an avowed communist. She's openly talking about revolution, let capitalism collapse, and we will build up socialism from the rubble. Bernie is a communist, self-avowed communist. And Kamala Harris was essentially a communist. So who are we kidding? The Democratic Party has morphed from a moderate center-left party, which was its roots, to now a full-blown anti-American communist party. I think, to me, that's a huge reason driving all of this. I mean, agree, disagree? 617-266-6868. Claire in Newbury. Thanks for holding, Claire, and welcome.
For taking my call.
Hi, Claire.
I think that the apathy is felt because we feel defeated. There are those of us who are trying. We have a group north of Boston, and we try, and I know there are others in the area. But when the state legislature is totally blue, and the Speaker of the House is a tyrant, doesn't bring what we would like to, doesn't bring the issues to vote, just doesn't do it, then you feel defeated. We still continue working, but when you have a mayor, I'm a native Bostonian, and I wondered how long it would take for Boston to go down. And when you have a mayor now who mentions continually our neighbors, and we need to be friendly to our neighbors, but she never mentions the word illegal. My whole family's from Boston. We talk all the time. We are very empathetic, but people feel defeated, and that's what I want to say.
Claire, I hear you. but look, you're a very normal, sane human being. I'm asking a slightly different question. Don't Democrats care that child molesters are being released onto the streets? That young children have been raped and abused and violated in the most unimaginable, heinous way possible because their mayor let them out? And it's a deliberate policy? Aren't they upset? Aren't they angry? Aren't they shocked? Okay, is it now safe for Trump supporters to walk on public sidewalks, to walk on the streets of Boston, or in many towns and cities across Massachusetts? That's now the question that many are asking in the wake of the savage, there's no other way to put it, the savage harassment and verbal assault that was inflicted upon Nikki Maselli. He is a student, a junior at Curry College. He's in his early 20s. In fact, very impressive, I got to say, in many ways. He is a member of the Massachusetts State Republican Committee. He is a Trump supporter, and he was simply walking down the street, minding his own business, about to meet a friend along Huntington Avenue. He had a baseball cap on in gold and white, which just said 47, i.e. the 47th president, and in the back saying he won. He was walking near the campus of MassArt, the Massachusetts College of Art and Design, and apparently now it's been confirmed, a student, the identity is still being withheld by MassArt, but a student saw Nikki with his baseball cap, his pro-Trump baseball cap, went right up to him, and I'm just going to give you a taste because it was so vile and it was so vulgar and it was so profane. Honestly, I'm shocked that Nikki wasn't assaulted. This guy was a lunatic. He was yelling, screaming, swearing, shouting. Just here is exactly what poor Nikki had to face. And again, he said nothing. He did nothing. He was just walking with his cap, minding his own business on the public sidewalk, about to meet a friend. And out of the blue, this moonbat comes raging at him. Roll cut 25, Mike.
What are you going to do? Go yourself. You're on my campus with that hat on. Actually, get the out of here. It's actually a public. Get the out of here. I don't care, you Nazi. This is a public. Off my campus. What's your name? I'm going to walk you all the way to this corner, you punk. Understand me? Go ahead. Who are you? Understand me? It doesn't matter.
Here's a little bit more. Okay, here's a little bit more. So literally, he's following poor Nikki. Okay, Nikki Maselli. Again, Maselli, by the way, Nikki never swore once. He didn't do anything. And this guy, he's in his face. And it's just, F you, you're an effing Nazi, you're an effing fascist, get the hell out of Boston, we don't want you on my campus, we don't want you anywhere, F you, F you, F you, F you. Roll cut 25A, Mike.
You Nazi punk, get this camera on my face. Or what? Or what? On my face. Or what? Take fascist Would your union off. Like that? Would your union like that? Hey, you see this? I know every union guy in this town. Get the out of here. I know sports unions. Every union leader. Snapchat, what are you, 35? I'm 30. Take that hat off. You understand me? Uh-huh. Take it off. Take it off, you Nazi bootlicker.
So take the hat off, you Nazi bootlicker. The reason why they're going on about the unions is that punk, and he is a punk, that was, verbally assaulting Nikki, had a union hat on. So it's like, I'm a union guy. You back Trump. You're against the unions. Well, joining me now to discuss what happened to him and the aftermath is none other than Nikki Maselli himself. Nikki, I know this has been a very difficult 3, 4, 5 days for you. This happened late last week. I got to ask you, first of all, how are you and how are you holding up?
I'm great, Jeff. How are you? We actually met one time last year at the Close the Border rally.
Oh, we did. Okay. All right,
Yeah.
Nikki. That's great. I know you're a big Trump supporter. I know you're very active in Republican politics. You're on the Mass GOP State Committee. And obviously you love you love the president and his policies the way I do. Nikki, let me ask you, were you shocked and surprised? You're walking down the street, you've got your 47 cap on, and this savage, this moonbat lunatic out of the blue goes right up to your face and just wouldn't stop with the F bombs, the Nazi, calling you a Nazi and telling you to take your cap off. Were you shocked and surprised, Nikki?
I would say yes and no, because you see all the videos on, on Facebook, on X, on TikTok, wherever, of, these liberals just going absolutely crazy about something, whether it's someone wearing a hat or simply something that happened in the news that they didn't like. It doesn't take much to set them off. But you never see it happening to yourself when you're the victim of it. So so I was surprised and I wasn't surprised at the same time. When the camera came out, you would have thought you would have been a little smarter with, how mass media is able to be spread like wildfire nowadays. So the kid was definitely not the brightest bulb. And these guys, at the end of the day, I like to call them the boy who cried Nazi, because every time they call someone a Nazi, they're delegitimizing the seriousness of the word itself.
Nikki, at any point did you feel in fear physically that he was going to hit you, punch you, stab you, knife you, assault you? Did you ever feel in fear for maybe not your life, but in fear that this could escalate to an out-and-out assault?
Well, I was prepared for sure. I was obviously waiting for him to hit first. That's how I was taught, not to throw the first punch, throw the second one. And that's what I was doing, because I think, here's campus, guy wearing painted nails and a woman's ring, and I throw the first punch. That's not going to look too good. Because you know how the media is going to spin that.
Nikki, now the Mass Art says they've confirmed that it is a student of theirs. Apparently they're taking this incident very seriously because it goes against their values of inclusion and compassion and respect, blah, blah, blah. But they won't release his name. Should they release his name in your view? And should they kick him out of the school?
There's no reason releasing my name, so I don't understand what the issue is with releasing his name. The media was able to, had no issue putting my name out there. Obviously, I brought it to them, but punishment, I didn't film that video to punish him. I just kind of wanted to show people that this is what the Democratic Party is like in 2025. And they just keep making fools out of themselves. I mean, Jeff, I know you're no stranger to owning the left, but what's great is when you don't have to own the left, when you let the left own themselves, which is basically what I did. So what the school decides to do is their decision, and I'm not really thinking that much about it. I do want to say the union confirms he's not a member of the union, just, kind of, guess he just like pretending, I guess. I'm not really sure. I mean,
hey, he's a fake union guy. Hey, you're right. No, Nikki, look, I got to say this. You handled yourself with professionalism, with real calm, composure. Honestly, I think, first of all, I think Nikki did a great job, both in terms of the interview, obviously, but the way he conducted himself on that public sidewalk, just walking, minding his own business, because I think he could have been assaulted. Very easily he could have been assaulted. He could have been, ambushed and put in the hospital or God knows. So I think he handled himself absolutely perfectly. And no, someone like Nikki, to me, is, he's on the Mass GOP committee. To me, I'd have him run as chairman. You're saying, Jeff, you're crazy. He's 21, 22 years old. Look, he's got more fight than any, than the leadership does. That's for sure. He's not afraid to go toe to toe. He's not afraid to stand up for Trump and to stand up for what's right and for the good, decent, hardworking people of Massachusetts. So, frankly, we need more Nikki Masellis in the Massachusetts Republican Party. And look, I think it raises to me a big issue. You wear a pro-Trump T-shirt in this state, or a pro-Trump hoodie in this state, or a pro-Trump cap like poor Nikki, or a pro-Trump bumper sticker. I mean, think about it. He's the president of the United States. He won the election. He won the Electoral College. He won the popular vote. He won every swing state. Yet we have to be afraid to show our support for the president? They're targeting us, the guy who won the election? This is how insane, and it's not just Mass, it's New York, it's California, it's Washington State, it's Oregon. And I blame the media, because they've now ginned up so much rabid hatred among Democrats and among the left that now you can't even take a walk down a street in Boston if you have a Trump cap or a Trump T-shirt without some animal, some left-wing idiot accosting you, harassing you, and you're lucky he didn't punch you in the face. So let me throw this log on the fire. Are you concerned when you're out on the streets in your town, your city, or in Boston? Are you concerned if you show anything that is pro-Trump? Pro-Trump, a cap or a shirt or a hoodie or whatever. Do you fear that there will be physical or verbal repercussions? And so are you less likely to put on a hat or to put on a shirt? Is the left's intimidation campaign, and that's what it is it starting to get to you? Is it starting to affect how you carry yourself in public? Are you less likely to show your public support for Trump, fearing people like this idiot? And by the way, I thought Nikki was very grateful, very gracious. I slightly disagree with him. I want to know the name of that student. We know Nikki's name. We should know his accoster and his harasser. And I want that student kicked out of Mass Art. No student should behave like this. This guy's a thug and a political intimidator. And if you're going to go around and behave in this fashion, I'm sorry. If that institution has any standards, they should kick his ass out of school. Agree, disagree? Paul in Boston. Thanks for holding, Paul, and welcome. Hello, Paul. Okay, think we lost Paul. Let's see if we can maybe reconnect. Who do you want me to go to next, Mike? Peter on the South Shore. Thanks for holding, Peter, and welcome.
Hi, good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Peter.
I wanted to respond to your earlier part of your show that was, why do we think there's no empathy? And then I heard the second part of your show, and as far as I'm concerned, both reasons are the same. I don't believe people lack empathy. I don't believe people don't care. I believe people are misinformed, uninformed intentionally by the media, because when you have a conversation with somebody one-on-one, they're in shock, but their natural instinct is to say, but I haven't seen it on the news. That is a reoccurring statement that I get when I'm interacting with people, and because it's not on the news, they don't necessarily believe it. We don't have liberals listening to your show. They don't have any idea what's happening. All they know is what the media tells them, which is, we all know, anything they want to hear. And I don't believe people lack empathy, because one-on-one, they're all human beings, and I've witnessed it more than once. It's collectively, due to the media, is the number one enemy of the people, is the media. That's my opinion.
Well, Peter, look, when Obama repealed the Smith-Mundt Act in his one of his bills, and people thought it was about transportation, but that was the real goal. That lifted the ban on propaganda, on the media using indoctrination. And you're right, the media now is in the brainwashing indoctrination business.